Great, thanks for joining me. Could you just quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Nigel Kersten. I'm the VP of Ecosystem Engineering at Puppet. So we're a US-based software company, mainly focused on automation. I'll go into that a little bit later. We've got a big Sydney office. I'm Australian, but I live in the US. I've been there for about 12 years, and it's really nice to be back.
Welcome home.
Cheers.
Tell me a bit about Puppet then. How does Puppet sort of integrate and work with the public sector?
Sure. So the basic premise with Puppet is you treat your hardware infrastructure, like whether it's, you're running virtualized machines, servers, desktops, or whatever, you manage them rather than clicking on things by defining in code the way it should be. And then you get to actually apply software engineering principles to traditional IT. So traditional IT is usually full of people doing stuff manually, because that's sort of how it's always been done.
Yeah.
There's actually this better approach where you go, let's define it in code and take everything we know about software engineering and use that to apply it to another whole domain and get all these sort of extra efficiencies out of it.
Perfect. And whereabouts are you seeing that kind of innovative test cases being used, whether it's, I guess, locally in Australia or even over in the US?
Yeah, so one thing I feel like when I moved to the US that I got this perspective that I didn't have before, which is we're really good at tech in Australia. Like, we don't think of ourselves like this, but I moved to Google, and at one point, like, this sort of sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm trying to tell a bigger story here. I was running all of internal Linux operations at Google. The guy doing it at Facebook was Australian. The guy doing it at Apple was Australian. The guy doing it at Twitter was Australian. We kind of grow really good IT people in Australia. And like even Puppet, a US software company, there were 3 of us who were Australian in the sort of first 10 employees.
Yeah.
And so there's always been this really strong connection back to Australia. And Australia's often really at the cutting edge. Like, we divide our world up into sort of EMEA, Europe and Middle East and Africa, US and Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific's ahead of Europe in so many different ways, and honestly, in many verticals are ahead of where the US is.
Yeah. And given that there's so much innovation potentially taking place within Australia, what challenges do you think government have in terms of actually embracing or adopting those types of ideas?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 really big challenges for government. One is the private sector is better at sharing information. It's better at having conferences like this. There's more venues like that. There's more sort of a generally accepted view that it's not a commercial differentiator to be 2% better at something. We're better off for the whole industry sort of tide to be rising for us all to proceed. The other one, I think, and this is a bit tougher, there's unrealistic expectations on the public sector. You can't expect like a large public sector department to be like Amazon or Google. I think it's unrealistic, and it's just going to cause everyone to create failed project after failed project.
So how do Puppet help public servant, on their journey, not to become Amazon, but to just become a bit better than they were yesterday?
So I think they've got they've usually got a whole bunch of IT. It's sort of grown up over years. There's all these processes around it. And so technically what our software does is just let you go, take all of that work that was manual and then you automate it. But the bigger change that is sort of cultural. It means suddenly the configurations are transparent and other people in the organisation can see it. And if you're sort of technical and you're working on a service, you can actually create a fix to like make the thing a little bit better. And it's that, again, comes back to that sort of sharing. If we're more transparent about what we're actually doing, we can all give input to each other on how to make it better, which is what you're doing here.
Well, absolutely makes sense. Our big thing is around collaboration and sharing and networking, so it's good to hear a company that shares that ethos. Your first time with us today?
Absolutely.
How have you found it?
I thought it was brilliant. So I'm a little bit of an idealist. I really believe in public service. I worked at a university for a really long time. It's really great to come back here, and public service employees get pretty short shrift. And everyone here, everyone I've talked to genuinely cares about the job they're doing. It's a hard job to do if you don't care.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your input. Lovely to have met you.
Cheers.
Cheers.